Come closer. The hollow has something for you tonight. A breath of cool smoke slips along the road. A hush, a sky that listens. We will walk toward a house that burned and left no ash, a secret that glow. S when your lungs grow slow, if your breath slows and the dark feels safe. Follow my voice and subscribe. If you want to hear what the shadows will tell. Next time, tell me where you listen from. Your city. Let the map of nights widen. Now dim the lights. Light a candle and drift with me into the story. You begin with the sound of night settled low in its bones, a slow wind threading the hedges, the kind that brushes knuckles along fences and does not hurry. You carry a lantern you did not remember, owning iron-framed, its glass fobbed, with a breath that might be yours or might be the road's. When you exhale, the wick leans brighter. When you inhale, it dims a little, as if it feeds on the rhythm inside your ribs. You test it with a long, gentle breath, and the glow deepens, warmer, but without heat. Only a hush of color that rests on your hands like fallen pollen. A sign leans at the bend, the letters so faint they seem bleached, as if the wood once burned with firelight from the inside, and then changed its mind. The lantern hums in your hand, a small, even tone. And you think of a kettle before it sings. The road splits, then stitches itself whole when you glance back. You witness the seam, a shimmer like heat over water, and then it's gone. You keep walking, slow, steady, your breath teaching the light how to be. You step through the suggestion of a boundary, and there, at last, the house. It stands with every edge crisp, every window clean, a silhouette so exact. It looks sketched onto the dark. No ash on the steps, no blistered paint, but the faint scorch scent deepens, like the breath left by a match cupped and then blown out. You know somehow that someone once watched it burn, and yet there is nothing here for the wind to rearrange. You listen, and the house listens back to listeners, and the night between you like a held breath. The hedges along the path shift slightly. Not a trick of wind, more like the room rearranging itself before a guest sits down. You turn your head, and the path becomes an ellipse instead of a line. It holds you, encouraging you not to hurry. Above, the sky has the faintest bruise of blue, a color that should be gone at this hour, but lingers as if waiting to be named. You pull the lantern close. Inhale, exhale, the glow responds. Little ritual, the gentlest spell. And you feel the road relax beneath your soles. You speak one word into the weave of the night. Not a name, only a yes. The yes goes out and comes back as a soft reply from nowhere in particular. The barest syllable curled into the creak of a loosened board. You decide that will do. You try the handle, The door opens without a sound. No complaint. No scrape. A motion. Like a page turned slowly. Inside, the air is clean. No dust to raise. No ash to taste. Rooms are arranged in polite quiet. A hallway pauses to let you pass. Wallpaper breathes a faint floral that was pressed here years ago and never faded. You lift the lantern, and it lends the walls a dusk rose tint. Enough to feel, not enough to see everything. And that is fine. You do not want to see everything at once. Your bone charm warms against your palm, as if glad to be remembered, as if the etched lines wish to meet at last. You place the charm in the dish, and it makes the tiniest sound, the kind you hear in your chest, rather than your ear. Somewhere deeper, a door answers, a door you have not seen, a door that should not be there according to the neat geometry of the hallway. Yet it is there, because your small offering taught it how to appear. You stand very still, and the thresholds in the house grow interested, like shy animals turning their heads. A portrait leans on a chair, not hung, just resting. The painted eyes almost closed, almost opening. It is difficult to tell. You think you hear a whisper behind a closed door. Something simple, perhaps only your name, perhaps nobody's name at all. You wait, and the whisper becomes the shape of silence again, as if the house were practicing language and had chosen to begin with quiet. You obey, passing the stair, with its banister smooth as sea glass. Each step holding the echo of steps taken long ago, steps that did not end with ash. You look at the carpet runner. Its pattern has moss with folded wings. When you glance away and back, the wings are open and then closed again. A polite trick, a greeting, you tell them you see them, and the pattern settles, satisfied. In the parlor, the hearth is clear, swept to a brightness that does not quite reflect. Logs are stacked, but unburned. They carry a sheen like the inside of a shell. You remember a story of a fire that burns memory instead. Of wood, a kind flame that leaves no ash because it eats only what time was willing to surrender. You wonder if that is what happened here. And the wonder is gentle, not a demand. Only a thought held the way you might hold the moth, so it can rest. A chair faces the empty grate. Its cushion keeps a dip, as if a patient weight has only just risen. You sit, and the dip welcomes you. You fit. Of course you do. You are lighter than you expected to be, as if something has already burned away. The lantern breathes beside you. Its glow like a cat curling. You close your eyes to listen more clearly, and the room continues without asking for your sight. Through the wall to your right, the faintest sound of a clock that is not ticking, but remembering how. A tender rehearsal of time through. The floor beneath your feet, the cool of earth, unmarked, patient, A pocket of night saved for later. Through the ceiling above. The suggestion of an attic. Nothing heavy. Only space quietly agreeing to exist. You open your eyes and find the table has nudged itself an inch nearer. You did not hear it move. It simply preferred to be close. On the table, a thin ring of soot that is not soot. Darker than shadow and lighter than ink. You touch it. It leaves nothing on your finger, but your finger feels seen. The house is letting you know its language. You nod, and the ring softens, fading as politely as a bow. You rise and cross to the window. Outside, the hedges have rephrased their lines, the path bending, so its ellipse passes back toward the gate, and then toward you again. You could leave at any moment. The gate would be where you need it to be. The road would lengthen to meet your feet, and still you remain peacefully, as if the chair and the table and the not-quite-soot had placed a hand on your shoulder and said, "Stay a little. This is not the burning you fear. You do not rush. You let the seam exist. You admire the way it almost disappears when you blink. Your lantern drinks your exhale. And you think, yes, this is how. It opens, not with the hand, but with the soft tide of breath. It does not spill onto the floor. It hovers, waiting for the shape your steps will give it. You stand in that waiting, and the house sighs, boards relaxing, hinges easing, a whole structure deciding to trust the small sound of you. Here, it is the scent after fear. The clean air a room has when something difficult has already happened and will not happen again. You let it steady you. You let it hold your shoulders from the inside. And your next breath carries the lantern's glow forward. Walls hold their patterns close. Vines and seeds and circles that might be eyes if you look too long. So you do not. You let them be vines, seeds, circles. Your feet are very quiet. The floor happy beneath your weight. The house happy to be walked like this. You do not plan, you only attend. And the corridor learns you, measures its soft shadows against your shoulders, and finds the right distance. No one speaks from the other side. But the sense of a listener is kind. You feel the way. You might feel near a wall where a plant is growing. The way growth is a sound you cannot hear, but somehow trust. You pass, and the listener lets you pass. And the corridor bends again, polite as a bow. You lift your lantern and see yourself, though not exactly. The rhythm of your breathing is the same. But the person in the glass has soot at the edges of their sleeves, soot that is not soot. The same not quite soot from the table. They raise their lantern when you raise yours, but their flame is a touch bluer, a shade more underwater. And you feel no alarm, only recognition, as if you are reading a familiar page in new light. You bow to the reflection, and the reflection bows, a small ceremony. That tells the hall how to continue. At last you return to the foyer, the bone charm in the dish now cool. It's 3 lines closer than before, not touching, but near enough to share warmth. You could take it back. You leave it a little longer. You sense it's still at work, sewing something you cannot see, mending a seam that holds the story. The house wishes to speak. The banister asks for your palm, polished by hands that did not end in ash. You rest your fingers there, and something in you that has been standing for years sits down, not in a chair, but in the quiet behind the lungs. The quiet that makes space for breathing to be easy. You let your eyes half close. You let the lantern do its gentle feeding. You let the scent after fear spread through the rooms. In the parlor, the unburned logs look satisfied. In the mirror, the not quite you looks content. On the table, the ring that was not soot is gone, and nothing is wasted. You return to the threshold and stand between inside and out, the gate beyond making its ellipse, the road waiting, the sign listening for names. You know you will step deeper soon, but not by force, by softness, the way frost writes its handwriting on a fence, and the world reads it only in the morning. The house has not burned you. It has burned nothing. That leaves a mark on the tongue. It has burned a little space where worry used to live, and left only quiet. You see it. The quiet, like the glow from the lantern you left behind. Except you did not leave it. It came with you. You descend 1 step, then pause. The road hears. The night hears. There is a certainty that does not announce itself, and you choose to welcome it without questions. Beyond the hedge, a fox watches, not red, not silver, a color your mouth does not know a word for. When you look away, the color remains at the edge of seeing, faithful, waiting, as if it will be there the next time you invite it. You lift the lantern, and the wick leans happily, ready to lead you further when you ask. Not now. You whisper soon. The whisper finds the closed door again, the one that should not be there. And it answers without sound. A consent shaped like a pause, a consent shaped like sleep. You step back inside, only a pace, to set the lantern gently on the foyer table, to give it a rest, while you listen to the house, remember how to breathe with you. In that moment, the room becomes slightly wider, as if a wall had relaxed its shoulders, as if the geometry decided to be kind. You smile without teeth. You nod to the chair, the portrait, the moth in its jar, and to the seam of the door that will be a doorway again. When you are ready, you will return. The house knows. The hedges know. The road that soothes itself knows. You let the night fold you in. You let the lantern's afterglow hang like a halo no one else can see. You leave the door gently closed behind you. Not locked, not open, a hush between, a promise, and you walk back toward the gate that is both where it was and where you will always find it when you breathe slowly enough. You pause where the hedge widens into a dark that feels like velvet. You listen to the world listening to you, and the lantern answers with a low, grateful purr. Nothing asks for proof here, only patience. Only the quiet practice of breathing that turns lockwork indoors you cannot see. You promise to return, not in words, but in the way your shoulders loosen, in the way your steps forget to echo. The night receives your promise, folds it into its sleeve, and the house, behind you, keeps its watch without smoke, without ash, only hush. The night waits in folds, soft and patient, as you stand at the edge of a path you do not recall choosing. The lantern in your hand leans toward your chest, as though listening. When you exhale, its glow deepens, rich as amber sunk in river water. When you inhale, the light softens to a pale thread, almost gone, but never gone. You walk without counting steps. The ground beneath you is not stone, not earth, but something in between, a surface that yields just enough to hold the memory of your passing. When you glance back, the footprints remain, but they have been turned slightly, as if they belong to someone following, not you. Ahead, a curl of smoke drifts low across the path. It is not the color of wood fire. It is silver blue, the shade of veins seen through pale skin. You follow it, and it coils toward a hedge. The hedge, in turn, seems to lean closer, the leaves shivering, though the air is still. You blink, and the hedge has shifted. Its opening now wider, its curve inviting. The smoke threads itself through the gap. You pass under the arch the branches have made. On the other side, the world has tilted, ever so slightly. You feel it in your balance, the way water in a glass leans before it spills. The lantern hums in response, warm in your palm, reminding you that light is an anchor when the ground forgets how to be level. There are shapes in the mist ahead, low walls, no higher than your knees, made of bricks that are damp to the touch. Each brick is etched with a small mark, some a single dot, some a line, some a spiral. You trace one with your finger. The lantern flares, and the mark feels warm for a heartbeat. Then the warmth withdraws, as if saved for another time. The smoke thickens, not choking, only soft. You can see your own breath in it. It curls upward and is swallowed by the lantern's glass. You are certain now. The light is not fed by oil or wick, but by what you give it in each slow exhale. It is taking nothing from you that you need, only what you choose to offer. The path bends sharply without warning, and there, in the turn, stands a doorway, not part of any wall. Only the frame, freestanding. Its hinges empty of a door. You step through. The world beyond is quieter still. Here, the air smells faintly of burnt sugar. Somewhere, water drips with the patience of centuries. Your footprints follow you. And yet, when you look at them, they point the other way. You kneel to touch one, and it shifts, blurring like wet ink. The lantern brightens sharply. A warning or a welcome. It is hard to say. You rise, breathing into it, letting the glow steady itself. The path ends at a small clearing. In the center, a single chair sits. It's back to you. You walk around it slowly. On the seat rests a folded cloth. Inside, which something small is wrapped. You open it with care and find a piece of glass shaped exactly like the pane. In your lantern, but your lantern's glass is whole. Intact, you hold the new piece to the light, and for an instant, you see another hand holding it from the other side. You lower it. The hand is gone. The clearing feels smaller now. Closer, as if the trees had taken a step toward you. You wrap the glass again, place it back on the chair, and step away. The lantern flickers in long, slow breaths. Each time it glows, the trees lean back, giving you space each time. It dims. They draw nearer, curious. You walk between their interest and their retreat until the clearing is behind you, and the hedge once more reshapes itself to open the way. You step through. The silver-blue smoke is gone. Only the warm scent of your own breath remains, and the lantern's glow holds steady now, as though it has learned the rhythm of you, and chosen to keep it. You return to the path you know, and do not know. The lantern in your hand is warm enough to feel alive. Its glow seems heavier now, as though each breath you gave it has weight, a soft weight that anchors it to you. Ahead, a shape rises where no shape should be. The house. It is waiting, and yet you can feel it is already in the middle of something. You smell a burn that is not smoke, like paper singed in another room. The air has the faint crackle of a fire you cannot hear. You step closer, and the flames appear. They're pale, almost blue. They lick at the edges of the house, curl up the beams, slip along the glass of the windows. Yet nothing is breaking. Nothing is falling. The wood remains smooth, the paint unblistered. The fire moves, but it does not consume. You stand at the gate. The hedge behind you seems to lean forward, not to block you, but to watch. You lift your lantern, and the fire bends toward it, curious. It brightens slightly, the pale edges trembling. It feels like the house is tasting the light you carry. You take a step inside the yard. The grass under your feet is damp, as though rain has passed. Your footprints leave darker marks in the green. When you glance back, the prints are already gone. The fire makes no sound, only a shimmer in the air. It seems to burn in time with your pulse. Through the doorway, the light changes. The pale flames outside become a dim silver in here. They trace the corners of the room. Wander along the skirting boards, pool in the ceiling like spilled moonlight. Nothing smolders. Nothing is warm. The temperature in the room is almost cool. On the floor, a set of footprints appears. Not yours. These are larger, and they move without a body. One step, pause. Another step, pause. They circle the room slowly, as though looking for something that isn't you. Your lantern sways in your hand. The glow stretches toward the prints, but does not reach them. When you exhale, the flame inside flares, and the prints pause. You take another breath. Deeper, slower. The prints turn toward you. You do not move. The pale fire on the walls flickers faster now. It flows toward the place where the footprints stand. And then, as if remembering itself, it flows back to the walls. The prints fade, step by step, until there is only the bare floor again. You walk further in. The house breathes with you, its beams creaking like old lungs. Time folds strangely here. A wall seems closer than it should be. Then farther. You blink, and the distance changes. It is like the minutes are creased and uncreased while you are inside them. In the far corner, there is a small table. On it, a cup of water, perfectly still. The pale flames trace the rim of the cup without touching the water. You lean closer. The water's surface shows your reflection, but your eyes are closed. You straighten slowly. The reflection opens its eyes. They are your eyes, but the color is wrong. You blink, and the water is empty. No image at all. The fire along the walls thins, until it is only faint threads. The blue fades into a softer gray. You realize the flames are retreating, not dying, only moving deeper into the house. The lantern in your hand feels heavier again, as if it has taken something from the fire. Or perhaps the fire has placed something inside it. When you exhale, the glow is touched with a faint pale blue edge, the color of the flames that leave no ash. You return to the path you know and do not know. The lantern in your hand is warm enough to feel alive. Its glow seems heavier now, as though each breath you gave it has weight, a soft weight that anchors it to you. Ahead, a shape rises where no shape should be. The house. It is waiting, and yet you can feel it is already in the middle of something. You smell a burn that is not smoke, like paper singed in another room. The air has the faint crackle of a fire you cannot hear. You step closer, and the flames appear. They are pale, almost blue. They lick at the edges of the house, curl up the beams, slip along the glass of the windows. Yet nothing is breaking, nothing is falling. The wood remains smooth, the paint unblistered. The fire moves, but it does not consume. You stand at the gate. The hedge behind you seems to lean forward, not to block you, but to watch. You lift your lantern, and the fire bends toward it, curious. It brightens slightly, the pale edges trembling. It feels like the house is tasting the light you carry. You take a step inside the yard. The grass under your feet is damp, as though rain has passed. Your footprints leave darker marks in the green. When you glance back, the prints are already gone. The fire makes no sound, only a shimmer in the air. It seems to burn in time with your pulse. Through the doorway, the light changes. The pale flames outside become a dim silver in here. They trace the corners of the room, wander along the skirting boards, pool in the ceiling like spilled moonlight. Nothing smolders. Nothing is warm. The temperature in the room is almost cool. On the floor, a set of footprints appears. Not yours. These are larger, and they move without a body. One step, pause. Another step, pause. They circle the room slowly, as though looking for something that isn't you. Your lantern sways in your hand. The glow stretches toward the prints, but does not reach them. When you exhale, the flame inside flares, and the prints pause. You take another breath, deeper, slower. The prints turn toward you. You do not move. The pale fire on the walls flickers faster now. It flows toward the place where the footprints stand. And then, as if remembering itself, it flows back to the walls. The prints fade, step by step, until there is only the bare floor again. You walk further in. The house breathes with you, its beams creaking like old lungs. Time folds strangely here. A wall seems closer than it should be. Then farther. You blink, and the distance changes. It is like the minutes are creased and uncreased while you are inside them. In the far corner, there is a small table. On it, a cup of water, perfectly still. The pale flames trace the rim of the cup without touching the water. You lean closer. The water's surface shows your reflection, but your eyes are closed. You straighten slowly. The reflection opens its eyes. They are your eyes, but the color is wrong. You blink, and the water is empty. No image at all. The fire along the walls thins, until it is only faint threads. The blue fades into a softer gray. You realize the flames are retreating, not dying, only moving deeper into the house. The lantern in your hand feels heavier again, as if it has taken something from the fire. Or perhaps the fire has placed something inside it. when you exhale. The glow is touched with a faint pale blue edge, the color of the flames that leave no ash. You step past the table with the untouched water. The hallway ahead is narrow, but when you take 2 steps, it seems to widen. The wallpaper breathes faintly, its faded pattern of vines, curling in directions you do not recall from a moment ago. You glance away, and when you look back, the vines have shifted again, not growing, only rearranging themselves, as though remembering a different design. A door opens to your left without a sound. Beyond it is not a room, but another corridor. It runs parallel to the one you are in, yet you know, without knowing why, that if you walk both corridors, they will meet in the same place. You choose neither, and keep moving forward. The air is cooler now. Your lantern's glow stretches longer shadows along the floorboards. One of them does not move with the others. It stays still when you move. It is the shape of a chair, though there is no chair in sight. When you step closer, the shadow fades. In its place, a jar rests against the wall. Inside, a moth stirs, its wings the same pale blue as the fire outside. It flutters once and settles. Your breath fogs the glass, and the moth turns its head toward you. You carry the jar in both hands. Its weight is less than you expect. When you reach the end of the corridor, the door there swings open. Slowly, the room beyond is larger than the outside of the house should allow. Corners fold inward, then outward, as though the room were made of paper being creased and smoothed again. Your lantern brightens, briefly, and in that extra glow, you see the same room from a different angle. The furniture is in new places, the windows on the wrong wall. You blink, and it is gone. Only the original layout remains. But the air feels as though it remembers both versions at once. The moth in the jar beats its wings twice. The sound is too soft to hear, yet it changes something in the room. A door you had not noticed before now stands slightly ajar. Through the crack, you see another hallway, darker than this one. Its wallpaper is blank, no vines, only pale walls that seem to ripple faintly. You step toward it. The jar grows warm in your hands. When you enter the dark hallway, the rippling walls seem to pull back, as if making room for you. Or for the moth, you walk until the hall bends sharply. When you turn the corner, you find yourself back in the first corridor. Only now, the vines on the wallpaper have taken the shape of letters. You cannot read them, but you feel their meaning in your chest. It is an invitation not to leave, but to stay until the house has finished folding itself into the shape it needs. You set the jar down on the floor. The moth inside presses its wings against the glass. The lid loosens on its own, and the moth slips out. It circles your lantern once, leaving a faint blue shimmer in the air. Then it flies down the hall and disappears through a door that closes softly behind it. The corridor is still again. Your lantern glows with the same steady light, but in its heart, you now see the faintest trace of blue. The same blue the moth carried on its wings. The same blue of the fire that leaves no ash. The stairs lead you down with a soundless patience. Each step feels older than the one before, as though you are walking deeper into the spine of the house. Your lantern's glow touches the walls. In narrow breaths, here the air is still, but not empty. At the bottom, a door waits half open. Its edge rests against the frame, as though listening. You push it gently. The hinges move without complaint, and the room reveals itself in a slow unfurling. It is a cellar, but not for storing food or wine. Shelves line the walls, filled with objects that look untouched by time. Some are ordinary keys, coins, letters. Others are stranger. Mirrors without reflection, stones with veins, a faint light, a bird's nest woven entirely of threads. At the far wall sits a figure. They are writing in a large book. Their hand moves slowly, as though the pen weighs more than it should. When you step closer, they look up. Their eyes do not seem surprised to see you. I keep what the fire will not take, they say softly. Their voice comes from a point in the room that is slightly to the left of their mouth. Not an echo, not quite, just a small misplacement, like a memory returning to the wrong moment. You look at the shelves again. Some items feel familiar, though you cannot say why. The archivist watches you. They are not yours, not yet. You ask if they will be. They smile, only if the flames decide to forget them. They close the book and turn it toward you. The pages are filled with names, each written in ink so pale, it is almost Inv. Isabel, between the names are short lines, sentences you cannot read, but can almost understand. The archivist taps a space where the page is empty. Not your place, not your time. Your lantern flickers. The archivist leans forward, eyes narrowing. That light knows the fire's taste now. Keep it near. There are rooms above that remember you, though you have not been in them yet. You glance back at the shelves. A small box catches your attention. It is plain, carved from wood the color of cooled ash. The archivist nods toward it. Take it. You won't open it here, but the house will tell you when. You pick it up. It is lighter than it looks. When you shake it gently, there is no sound inside. The archivist returns to their writing without another word. You feel the moment of dismissal kind, but final. You leave the room slowly. The stairs are quieter now, as though the wood has chosen not to remember your steps. Back in the main hall, the air feels different, thicker, with the weight of things not yet burned. Your lantern glows steadily, but now, in the very center of the light, there is a faint shadow, the shape of the unopened box, as if the lantern itself is holding it. In memory, until the house decides to let it speak. The hallway narrows as you move away from the cellar. It feels as though the walls are drawing closer. Not to trap you, but to guide you. Your fingers brush the wallpaper cool. Smooth, faintly pulsing under your touch, the lantern swings slightly in your grip. Its light slipping over details that might not be there the next time you look. You come to a door you have not seen before. The handle is plain, but worn smooth by many hands. When you turn it, the latch clicks like a pen being set down. Inside is a small, windowless room. A single desk sits beneath a hanging bulb that does not glow. On the desk is a ledger. Its cover is cracked leather, faintly warm to your touch. When you open it, the first pages are blank. You turn them slowly. At last you find writing names, dates, brief notes written in a script you cannot read, yet somehow understand. The first entry makes your chest tighten. It says nothing of who, only what was given up. A morning in winter, when the air was the color of milk. The next entry, a voice that always knew how to calm you. You run your finger down the page and the lantern dims, not dangerously, only as though it is bowing its head. The handwriting shifts as you turn the pages. Some entries are so faint you can barely see them. Others have been crossed out with a single, decisive line. At the back of the ledger is a single blank space, and you understand without being told that to open the next door, something must be left here. Not an object, not a piece of the body. Something from the mind, from the memory. You stand in the stillness. The box you took from the archivist feels heavier now, but it is not what the ledger wants. It waits, patient, certain. You think of something you have carried for too long. A moment that has shaped you, but no longer needs to. You let the thought rise into the light of the lantern. The glow trembles, steadies, then leans toward the ledger, as though offering it. The blank space fills with faint writing. It is your handwriting, though you have never seen yourself write like this. When you look away and back, the entry has already aged, as though it has been here for years, somewhere in the wall. A latch moves. A new door slides into view, where there was only smooth plaster before. You touch it, and it opens. Without effort, beyond is a room that feels both strange and familiar. The air holds the echo of the memory you just gave away, but it does not hurt. It feels light, as though the space has been cleared for something yet to arrive. You step through, The door closes softly behind you. The ledger remains on the desk. Its pages turn toward the dark. It will remember for you now, and the house will decide what to do with the space you left empty. The room you've entered is long and low. Wood beams stretch overhead like the ribs of some sleeping thing. Your lantern breathes its glow into the corners. But the air here does not rush to meet it. It is a slow place, heavy with the scent of stone after rain. At the far end is a hearth. It is empty, yet you feel it looking at you. Not with eyes, but with a familiarity that moves under your skin. The bricks are darker than the others in the house. As if they have absorbed more than heat, you walk toward it slowly. Each step seems to disturb something unseen. Shadows along the walls pull back slyly, then settle again. When you reach the hearth, you kneel and touch the stone lip. It is neither warm nor cold. It feels the way your own hands feel after holding something you cannot let go of. Above the mantel hangs a row of portraits. Each face is turned slightly away, so you see more cheek and jaw than eyes. The longer you look, the more you feel they are adjusting, subtly turning further whenever you blink. You tested watching with one eye closed. When you open both, the nearest portrait has shifted. Just enough for the mouth to seem ready to speak. You tell it softly that it may. The room holds its breath, but no voice comes. Instead, the chair beside the hearth scrapes just enough to close the distance between you. It sits waiting, cushion sunken, as though it has been keeping this place for you. You do not sit yet. Your attention is drawn back to the hearth. There, among the bricks, is an indentation the size and shape of the box you carry. When you place it there, the lantern flickers in recognition. The box does not open, but the faint shadow in the lantern's light fades as though a debt has been paid. A sound moves behind you, cloth brushing wood. You turn, but see nothing. Only the portraits again. Their faces a fraction more turned toward you. Now you can see the edges of their eyes, and they are tea. He's same color as yours. You sit in the chair. It fits you perfectly, the back just the right height. The arms welcoming your elbows. A small sigh leaves your throat without your choosing. The fire that is not here seems to settle ins. Hide your chest, warm without burning. You think of nights you cannot place in time. A table, a cup, the murmur of voices you never saw the faces of. The air here holds those sounds, as if they happened only minutes ago. Your fingers curl around the arms of the chair, and in the wood you feel the faintest pulse, like a heartbeat answering yours. From the corner of your eye, a door you had not seen before shifts open just a hand's width. Within the darkness beyond, there is movement, not threatening, curious, like a cat's tail flicking from the shadows. You rise, but keep one hand on the chair, as though promising to return. The lantern sways its light into the doorway. The movement retreats a step, then waits. You step through and find yourself in a narrow passage, walls of bare brick on either side. The passage curves in a way that makes distance difficult to judge. You hear the faint scrape of stone against stone, as if the walls are adjusting for your presence. When the curve straightens, you emerge into another room. This one is smaller, with a low ceiling and a single table at its center. On the table rests a mirror. Its surface is clouded, but as you approach, the mist clears. You see yourself, but your hair is streaked with pale ash. And your eyes hold the faint blue of the flames you've been following. You lift the lantern higher, and the reflection does the same. Yet in its other hand, it holds something you do not, an unlit candle. The image leans forward until its mouth is almost at the glass. A burr. Ath mists the surface again. When it fades, the reflection is gone. The mirror now shows only the room behind you. But in that image, the chair by the hearth is empty. You return through the passage. The portraits have turned their faces fully toward the chair now. It is as if they are looking not for you, but for the absence you left in the cushion. You take your seat again, and they tilt slightly. Satisfied, the hearth hums softly, not a sound for ears, but for the spaces inside your ribs. You understand without needing to be told. That it remembers you from a time when this house was something else entirely. That your presence is not new here, only returned. The lantern rests in your la. Its flame bends toward the hearth. And for a moment, you think it might leap free to join whatever memory burns in those darkened bricks. But it stays, and you know it will stay. Until the house has finished what it began, when the first pale flames touched its walls. You close your eyes. The chair holds you. The air breathes with you. And in that steady quiet, you feel the shape of the house settling around you. Not as a trap, but as a place that has been waiting Are you to fit into it again? You do not remember standing, but now you are at the doorway again, your hand on the cool wood of the frame. The hearth behind you hums softly, as if it knows you will return before the flames in its memory fade. The hallway ahead is darker than before. The lantern's light stretches farther, as though it has decided to walk a little ahead of you. Your steps make almost no sound when you listen closely. You realize the floorboards are adjusting themselves, tilting slightly so that you never hear their creak. You pass a window. Outside, the night sky has no stars. Instead, faint seams of light move across it, like threads being pulled through dark cloth. For a moment, the pattern almost matches the lines on your bone charm, and you think if the two were laid over each other, they would fit exactly. The corridor bends sharply, and you find yourself in a room with no ceiling. Above, the black sky with its glowing seams looms close, as if you could reach up and touch it. Round you. The walls are charred but not in ruin. The blackness is perfect, uniform, like ink that has been polished until it shines. In the center of the room is a circle of pale blue fire. It burns without smoke, without sound. Within the circle is nothing, no floor, no shadow, only a depth that your eyes cannot settle on. You step closer, and the fire draws inward slightly, as though making space for you. The lantern in your hand warms until it feels almost alive. The flame inside flickers in time with your breath. And you understand. This is the place where the house burns its stories instead of its walls. Here, it will burn yours, not to destroy it, but to lift the weight of carrying it. You kneel at the edge of the circle. The blue flames tilt toward you. You think of the memory you left in the ledger. And then of the ones you still carry, the ones that ache even when you are still. One rises above the rest, unbidden. It is no words, only a shape, a sound, and the color of the moment you would most like to set down. You breathe out slowly, letting that moment spill from you into the lantern's flame. It changes instantly, taking on a shade so close to the fire before you that the two seem made of the same thing. The blue circle reaches toward the lantern. You hold it out. And the fire touches it not with heat, but with something lighter than air. The flame inside your lantern leaps free, crossing into the circle. It joins the larger fire, and both swell gently, pulsing once, twice. Then the circle closes, and in its place is only the floor hole, unmarked, as though nothing had ever been there. You look down at the lantern. Its glass is empty, yet it still glows faintly. The light now comes from nowhere you can see. You lift it, and it feels lighter, so light you wonder if you are still holding it at all. The walls of the room shift. The charred surfaces lighten, fading to the same quiet color as the halls you walked before. The seam in the sky above begins to close. The threads of light pull together, mending the blackness until it is seamless again. When the last thread is drawn, the ceiling is once more in place. A simple wooden beam overhead. A room returned to its ordinary shape. Yet you know the circle of fire remains, invisible beneath the boards. It will wait for the next story that needs to be burned without leaving cinders. The door opens behind you. Though you did not hear it move, you step through, and the air feels different. The house is quieter now, not because it is empty, but because something restless within it has gone still. Your own chest feels the same. You carry the lantern back through the hall. The portraits you pass now look directly ahead, their gazes calm. The carpet runner's pattern holds steady. The moths no longer shifting their wings. When you Glance at the mirrors. You see only yourself, without the pale blue edges. The fire has taken them, left you lighter. At the front door, you pause. The gate beyond stands, where it always should have been. The hedge is still, not rearranging its paths. You could leave, and perhaps you will, but not just yet. You turn back, looking once more at the hall. The light from your lantern spills into it. Steady and sure, the house holds that light, as if it is part of itself now, and you realize it will keep burning. G your burdens quietly, whether you return or not. You step outside at last. The air meets you with a coolness that feels clean. No ash clings to your clothes. No scent of smoke follows you. Only the quiet weight of a night that has mended something you did not know was. Frayed, you look down at your lantern. Its glass is still empty, but the glow within seems to come from the dark itself, as though night has learned how to light the way. The gate closes behind you with the softness of a page being turned. The road ahead is a quiet ribbon under the weight of the sky. The lantern in your hand feels almost weightless now, as if it is made of breath alone. Its glow is calm, no longer eager, no longer searching, only keeping time with your steps. You follow the curve of the hedge until the house is hidden. But even without looking back, you feel its presence, like a steady heartbeat somewhere in the dark. Neither nearer nor farther. It will always be exactly where it needs to be, when you need it. The night air carries the scent of rain that has not yet fallen. It wraps around you. Cool and even, each breath feels as though it is taking root inside you, filling spaces left open. By the fire, you pass a tree whose branches dip low, almost brushing the road. In its shadow, the air seems thicker, the silence more complete. You pause beneath it, and the lantern's glow pools gently at your feet. Something in the earth here remembers you, though. You cannot say from when. The path narrows ahead, stones set unevenly as if they were laid by many hands over many years. Your steps are slow, careful, in the rhythm of them. You hear other footsteps so faint you might imagine them matching yours exactly. But when you stop, they stop too, leaving only the quiet to walk on without you. At the bend, a small alcove opens in the hedge. Inside it rests a low stone bench, smoothed by rain and time. You sit, placing the lantern beside you. Its light spills over the bench, making the stone look almost warm. You close your eyes. The house drifts back into your thoughts, not in shape or detail, but in the feeling it gave. A place that does not ask for proof, only patience. A place that keeps the parts of you you can no longer carry, and tends them until they no longer need tending. When you open your eyes again, the hedge has shifted. The path ahead is straight now, leading into a gentler dark. You pick up the lantern and stand. Its glow bends forward, showing only enough to take the next few steps. The farther you walk, the lighter the air feels. You are not leaving the house behind, you are taking it with you. In the tilt of the lantern's light, in the softened sound of your breath, in the stillness at the center of your chest. At last, the path opens into a wide, quiet space. Here the night feels deep enough to rest in. You lower the lantern, letting it rest against your side. Its glow cools, folding inward, until it is just a quiet ember in the glass. The fire has done its work. The house has gone still, and you are ready for the long walk into the rest of the night. The night holds you now, not in its hands, but in the deep curve of its breathing. The path beneath your feet has loosened its stones, so your steps fall without sound. Above, the sky leans low not to weigh on you, but to keep you company. You think of the house one last time, not as walls and beams, but as a quiet place threaded into your breath. It has taken what you could not carry, turned it over in its slow-burning flames, left you with space, with stillness, with the kind of light that belongs only to you. The lantern's glow is small now, folded inward like a seed. You could cup it in your hands, but you do not need to. It knows its way. It knows yours. The air grows softer as you walk. Somewhere far away, the hedges have closed their gates. The portraits have turned their faces to rest. The ledger sleeps with your memory tucked between its pages. The archivist has lowered their pen, and the moth has found a quiet corner where the walls do not shift. The fire that leaves no ash still hums in its hidden circle, waiting, as patient as the dark. You pass into a stretch of night that feels endless and safe. Every sound is gentle whine through grass, the faint roll of water you cannot see. Each breath carries you further from what you gave away, and deeper into what you have kept. The lantern's light fades to nothing, but the path remains clear beneath your feet, for you are carrying more than enough glow now. The tale has ended. Now sleep, if you can. I'll be just beyond the veil listening.